Okay guys, it's Tim here from cleverbodybuilding.com, and today we're going to talk to you about the importance of carbohydrates. What is a carbohydrate? A carbohydrate is your instant source of energy, and to use the energy you will basically be going past what I'll call is like a fast walk or some effort. You need to put some effort in there to use carbs as energy source. If you've got no carbohydrates in your body, so if you're dieting for a show and you're about 2 to 3 weeks out, which I know very well, you are as weak as a kitten and you really can't push much weight around. All right, so basically, if you have no glycogen, no carbs in your body, you'll be weak. So basically, carbs is your energy source to help you push your weights, okay? So we're going to talk about carbs, how we're going to use those to manipulate your diet. Not just your diet, but also use them to grow and a little bit to help you cut a little like that as well. Okay. So when we talk about carbs, we talk about good carbs and bad carbs. Good carbs, we sometimes call them complex carbs, are the ones we can use. We can use them nicely. The body likes these. They are going to be complex and starchy. They're going to be like potatoes, sweet potatoes, pasta, rices. Okay, the general carbs, the spaghettis and the couscouses and the bulgur wheats. Those type of carbs, the nice carbs. And we are really going to avoid, if we can, and this is throughout the whole of your diet, including bulking, because you don't want these when you're bulking either, apart from around your training, which we'll talk about later. We do avoid sugars at all costs. Okay, sugars are your enemy. All right, I'll repeat that. You want to be a bodybuilder, you need to avoid sugars. Okay? The reason for that is pretty straightforward. When you have a sugar, and that can be a sugar, it could be a fruit sugar, so fructose does this, so just make sure you're aware of that as well. I've made that mistake before in the past, okay, when I was a very young bodybuilder. Okay, I went to the veg store when I was about to start my first diet, bought loads of fruit, went to the bodybuilding shop, and my friend started calling me loads of rude names, you big idiot, throw it in the bin. How are you supposed to lose fat like that? Okay, so that's important. And also alcohol. All right, alcohol does the same. So this is what we're going to talk about now, is alcohol, sugar, and fruit sugar do this process, okay? They raise your blood sugar, okay, which blocks basically the fat as a fuel by inhibiting glycogen. Okay, you can't store these carbs in your glycogen muscles. All right, that's important. Okay, so if you basically think that your muscles are your body's stores of carbohydrates, if you take those free carbs I talked about before, you can't store those in your body. So if you have too many, then what's going to happen, guys? You're generally going to put body fat on. All right, and that's obviously what we want to avoid, okay? Bodybuilding is about seeing the muscle, not hiding it in body fat, yeah? Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so complex carbs can be stored in the muscles, and we can use those nicely. All right, so that makes sense. Good. So now we're going to talk a little bit about using carbs as like an anabolic aid, okay? Generally, if you eat a carbohydrate, your body will get a little bit anabolic. We talked a little bit about protein and the way that works as well. So every time you have a food, your body becomes anabolic. We can use carbs in a really good way because they're actually just as anabolic or even more anabolic because they stimulate a certain pathway, which we'll talk about now. Okay? When you have a constant flow of, I'm going to call this now complex carbs, not sugars. Okay? A constant flow, a small amount of complex carbs, regular throughout the day, you will be creating a really anabolic atmosphere in your body. You're going to be stimulating the IGF pathways, which are, I'm going to say this, the most anabolic pathways in your body, okay? Even more so than testosterone, guys. So for those people who just stay on gear and love it, and all the steroids, it's not just about that. You need to have anabolic effects from your IGF to get really big, okay? So basically, steady flow of carbs will create this atmosphere. And I'm talking about every couple of hours here, okay? I've just done this for 2 weeks, and I put 2 stone on in 2 weeks. And literally, I've been having like 40, 50 grams every 2 hours of carbs, okay? Apart from the training, obviously, because that's something we're going to talk about in a second, okay? But literally, every 2 hours, you will need 40, 50, depending on your size and body weight, grams of carbs. Not 100 here, 20 there, oh, I've missed a meal. Okay, if you keep doing that, you're not going to get this effect, because this works steadily, progressively, and consistently all the time. The more consistent you are with this, the bigger you'll be. Simple as that, okay? Bodybuilding is a consistency games, guys, okay? If you do it for a day and go on the piss, forget over the weekend, and then just pick it back on a Monday, you're not going to get the results you want. Okay, if we're talking about getting big, you need to do this all the time. Set a stopwatch, keep it in your mind, your phone, anything you can, and you'll get the results you wish, okay? All right then, if you have sugars instead of complex carbs on this, you're going to be creating, the glucose level is going to be all over the place, it won't work. So this only works by having complex carbs. Okay guys, just to summarize that. So if you want to grow like a beast, and I mean a beast, you will never grow like this if you don't, okay? You need to have a steady flow of complex carbs, little and often, and avoid sugars, all right? Okay, the next window for growing here is training, all right? So you can manipulate your carbs while you're training to absorb a lot of fuel afterwards. A lot of you may have heard of a window of opportunity after you're trained. Okay, this is basically how to manipulate that and get the most growth, okay? So if you train, okay, before you train, an hour before, you need around about 40 grams of complex carbs, like we said before, okay? When you train, this is the little formula, all right? You need to have 40 grams. Now this is literally, there's only 2 times you can have sugars here. We call them glucose polymers, the quality ones. So it's 2 glucoses together here. Maltodextrin. 40 grams of maltodextrin in 1 litre of water to give yourself a 4% solution. Okay, you need to drink this throughout your workouts. What this is going to do is going to get your body ready to absorb nutrition after. Okay, you're creating an atmosphere where your body's ready to go. All right, 40 grams, 1 litre during a workout. Okay, once the workout's finished, you've got around about half an hour to take in your food then. And this is because you've just trained really hard. Because remember, the harder you train, the more anabolic you're going to be afterwards. Okay, train hard, 40 grams of carbs during the workout. Afterwards, you are going to be like a sponge. You need to absorb a lot of nutrition now to help you grow. Okay, so I would suggest most bodybuilders will need 100 grams of maltodextrin again. And we talked about protein in a protein video. So 40 grams, potentially here is not enough. I reckon we can go up to 60, even 80 if you're a bigger bodybuilder, okay? And your body will absorb this now because you've just made the environment to do so, okay? So you could even go up to 100. I've known bodybuilders go up to 100, okay? And they will absorb that. That's a good way of getting the extra protein in, okay? That is gonna make you grow so much, okay? I will not tell you. Okay, so that process there, you've got growing by eating constant flow of carbs, making you anabolic all day. We're going to make you super anabolic now at the training side of things. Okay, and basically that is carbohydrates, and that's how you're going to get the most out of them. All right. This does change though when you're dieting and bulking up. So if you're dieting, I would personally take out the 40 grams of maltodextrin during the workout, and I'd chuck in a branched chain amino acid or a glutamine in there instead. And at the end of a diet, you will probably not be having a lot of the carbs in the day, or even afterwards. Okay, you probably go down to like 50, 100 grams of carbs by the end of a diet. So basically, as a general rule for growing, what I talked about there is true. When we're looking at dieting, it's going to be steadily reducing those carbs over the course of a diet. So you potentially get some growth at the beginning of a diet, but towards the end, when you're really cutting the carbs down, it won't be as effective, obviously because the carbs aren't going to be there. Okay, so make the most of it while you can. Basically, if you just keep going and doing what you can until you really drop down, you'll be well away. Okay, guys? So that's basically carbs in a nutshell, how to grow on it, all right? And we'll talk to you about further details later on. Well done, guys.